to our unity and everyone who has made it what it is. And although we're saying goodbye to the structure, we are not saying goodbye to the spirit that we will carry within us from now on. Unity has been so important to each one of us. I don't think I'm speaking just for myself. So just to know, Juanita, that your efforts will live on, whether we have a church or not. Okay. So we're going to go to our ministers, starting with Margie Brock, who is our minister for the first Sunday.
So, lots of reflection recently on the years that I've been fortunate to be a part of this ministry. I remember it was in the spring of 2016, and Juanita, who we'd been enjoying being with at our Unity West Central Region gatherings, made contact and asked if myself and Bob would be interested in starting to come and speak at Unity of Napa Valley Spiritual Center, and we said yes. I remember the first time I was scheduled to come, not long before that, someone ended up rear-ending my car. And I wasn't able to come that first time. I think Bob may have even filled in for me. But after that, after recovering, and since then consistently for over 6 years, the first Sunday, I've been there or together on the Zoom platform, and it has been a wonderful shared journey. You know, this community, I remember the first time I came into the Welcome Grange, and that's what I felt. I felt love, connection, and welcome. And that's been my experience every time we've been together. And there has been so many parts to our journey. I mean, we've 6 Lenten seasons, 6 Advent seasons. You know, we've, between Bob and I, you know, going through some wonderful books that are just Unity classics and New Thought classics. You know, we've explored How to Let God Help You from Myrtle Fillmore. We've explored Lowell Fillmore's writing on the prayer way to health, wealth, and happiness. And what about Florence Scovel Shinn, The Game of Life and How to Play It? And Robert Brummett, you know, with Living Originally, and just all these special times and celebrations. We have grieved together, we've laughed together, we've enjoyed wonderful music from Lon and Rende, you know, our wonderful chaplains, and you know, and Marcia and all that she's brought forward, and the leadership of this woman. And to see this community at every step of the journey doing the discernment work on what's next, how do we move forward from here, you know, and coming through all kinds of things, and then stepping up to the discernment that's happened most recently, and consciously choosing the path that we all want to take together. And then in our continuing spiritual journeys, you know, even if we're not showing up in the same location together every Sunday, I have just immense respect, love, and appreciation for everyone. And I'm just grateful to have been a part of it. So thank you.
And before our musician packs up and leaves, our gratitude for the beautiful music that added so much life.
I love the spirit of this group. That enhanced my playing. Thank you so much. I could hear you listening very clearly.
Oh, good. Okay, now we go on to our second Sunday minister, Bob Brock.
Thank you. Well, I was reflecting on how long we've been actually speaking here, and thank goodness for Margie. 2016 when we started, and all the books that we went through and worked through them, I said, yeah, I remember that. I think, when I reflect back on it, the big thing that stands out in my mind and heart is your welcome Grange. Being in that building, years ago when I was kind of getting involved back in organized religion, I was in a brethren church that met in the Grange Hall in Danville, California. And it was very similar to the Grange Hall that you folks have. So every time I'm in there, I remember how I got into this New Testament Bible believing church, and they gave me a Bible and they asked me to speak, and it kind of lit the fuse for moving on to, well, this is BU days before Unity, but moving on to being involved in spiritual practices. And when I think about the Grange, I just love to see the change of the seasons. I look out there and that little creek in the back, and during the summer months and stuff, it'd be nothing. But in the winter months, that creek would be just flowing. I just, wow, look out there and see that creek. And then Margie mentioned the Lentons and the Advents, and I remember one Advent Sunday in particular. I think they had missed it because I'm the second Sunday, but John was setting up your beautiful little nativity set. And I went, oh my God. And setting up the nativity set is kind of like a Brock tradition. Came when I grew up in the west side of Chicago. Day after Thanksgiving, we'd go down to the basement, grab our Christmas gear, and bring it up, and my grandfather would set up my Lionel trains, and then we'd set up this little nativity set. So the Friday after Thanksgiving, we pulled this thing out and set it up in our house too. So, but that little nativity, it was a special nativity set. I'd never seen anything like that, and John and I helped set it up that one Sunday. I see some heads nodding, that little nativity. I'm not sure where it's at, but you can reflect on it. So, and I enjoyed driving over on the Sunday morning, and not so much on the ride back, because 80 kind of 80 in the afternoon, even on Sunday afternoon. Oh my gosh! But driving over to your place, and at one stretch just before you get there, I'd roll the windows down and smell the eucalyptus trees. And, wow! So anyway, I'm going to miss riding. Well, I'm going to miss you guys. On second Sunday of the month. So whatever. But organizations are like people. We're born, we grow up, we move on, and we change. So there's going to be a rebirth. And I asked Margie, I said, why are they having it over here? And I was just enlightened by Sonia. This is where Unity started here. This was the Unity Church, and now it goes over. So it kind of come full circle. So we know the Spirit is in charge, and that your next evolution, whatever it may be, it's all going to be taken care of. In fact, I think I pulled out this little card from there, and it says, abundance is our birthright. I'm grateful for all that I have, and I freely give generously. So we know that abundance is our birthright, and the Spirit's going to take wonderful, great care of us. Unity in Napa. So thank you very much. And now the third speaker.
Thank you, Bob and Margie. You've made a wonderful duo for our church the past 6 years. A lot of commitment and dedication. I don't think you missed one Sunday, either one of you. No, that's amazing when you think about it. So thank you. Okay, now we have our minister from this third Sunday, who is Pastor David McNair, and his remarks will be followed by a musical selection.
I've got about 10 pages here prepared. Take a bathroom break and come back.
I was going to say, more champagne, more champagne.
Well, in the 1980s, I fell in love and made a commitment to unity. And in the... Can you fix this? Thank you. And in the 90s, I started getting serious to that commitment and that love, and I started speaking in various centers and churches. And the very first time I ever spoke at a Unity Center was at a place you may have heard of, Unity of Napa Valley. And it was right here at this location. And that first Sunday, of the 30 minutes before the service started, I spent 29 of them locked in the bathroom, shaking. I was terrified, just terrified. Those of you that know me know that I got over that terror. A great blessing in my life for the last few years has been to be this regular monthly third Sunday speaker. And I have become so fond of all of you regulars. I'm just amazed. I didn't like the forum the first few Sundays after church. And now, as Sonia said, it's her favorite part. I just love hanging out with everybody and getting to know everybody. It has been so wonderful. And on this particular day, I have very mixed emotions. When I first heard the news, it was like a vertigo. I can't lie, I'm sad. I'm sad. And since the first moment I heard the news, I also heard the voice very loudly of my first Unity teacher, Warren Meyer, who I found out today was the godfather of Napa Unity. Reading that history of Unity, Warren sponsored this. Warren was a student of Charles Fillmore's. Warren worked under Charles Fillmore at Silent Unity. Warren edited the first compilation of Myrtle's letters and papers. And Warren was old-fashioned classical Unity. And what I heard him say, he would often say, Mr. Fillmore said, unity is about new ideas. Only Warren would say, unity is about new ideas. So my prayer for each one of you here today is that you will receive the perfect and proper divine ideas to guide you on your right and perfect spiritual path in the future. And for myself, my affirmation is that I received perfect divine ideas. I receive perfect divine ideas. Would you say that with me? I receive perfect divine ideas. Good rehearsal. Now put some mojo in it and say it again together. I receive perfect divine ideas. Now point to someone sitting around you and say, you receive perfect divine ideas. You receive perfect divine ideas. Yes, that's who we are in Unity. Today's daily word says, I focus on God. And one of the things that Warren Meyer also said several times, when you see the word God, put an extra O in it, and it becomes good. And when you see the word good, pull out one of the O's, and it becomes God. He said they are exactly the same thing. Good and God. God and good. And for me, this is the great gift of unity, and perhaps for many of you who are brought up with the idea of a wrathful Jehovah God with a big stick waiting to whack you, that God is always good, and our calling is to look for the good in any situation that we find ourselves. It's difficult at times, however, it's more rewarding than spending our time crying. And this is one of my favorite songs about the God. Well, some people claim that the blues is the most swinging magazine. These individuals like to state that life can have no meaning unless it's got a great deal of adversity. Well, as for me, I'm looking for God in everything. Well, I turned on my radio. There's some guy singing how he lost his job, lost his car, lost his house, his wife left him, and now the dog ran away. He says things are looking so low down. Feels like his eyeballs been super glued to the ground. Well, as for me, I'm just trying to find God in everything. Turned on my TV set, and there's some guy with a $200 haircut, $900 shoes, $7,000 suit, saying he don't see nothing but sin anywhere. He says we better watch out, cause Satan's around the next corner, trying to get you and trying to get me. Well, as for me, I'm just trying to find God in everything. Neighbor called me on her iPhone, says it looks like another dreary, foggy day. She did. Says she's looking out her window, and she don't see nothing but shades of gray. Well, as for me, I'm just trying to find God in everything. Yeah, I'm trying to find God. I'm looking for the good. Trying to find God. I hope you're looking for the good too. We're all trying to find God. We're trying to find some good. And that's the truth, that God is good. Well, as for all of us, we're just trying to find God in everything. Amen.
Ah, thank you, David. Love the music.
In 2015, a woman named Juanita contacted me. She said she wanted to have me speak at a spiritual congregation in the Napa Valley. But it all changed, because in the end, I became connected to the Unity Spiritual Center in Napa Valley. I've spoken at a number of churches all over the West Coast, but in this case, I fell in love and adopted a new family. It wasn't much of an adoption. This group thoroughly welcomed anybody who came to the Grange Hall, and in the same way, they welcomed Rachel and I. For the last 7 years, I became the fourth Sunday voice at the church. What an adventure. The journey has been filled with new ground as you opened to allowing Rachel and I to try new things. In 2016, we did our first Easter service, powerful and profound as we looked into the divine eyes of each other. We had wonderful sermons on Sunday, ranging from a teddy bear tail outside of the box to no worries, mate. On Sundays, the service would start off with back and forth and divine music from Lon and end up with a forum. In my sermons, one of the themes I have always talked about is that change is the one constant, and I just basically don't like change. And now it's come to this place. But change is transformation. This is the next step. This is the expanding of boundaries, the realization that the future of this group is limitless. And it's going to occur naturally and in its own way. We are filled with memories of so many things. We will never forget the Sunday we had the chance to send the God expressing as John Galloway on his way with rawness and precious sharing. We've had the continued prayer heart of Marcia, the ice cream of Fred, and the barbecues of Dr. Love. So many different unique flavors, each coming together for this spiritual supreme mind. The board of directors have been led by the strength of Suzanne, and they've come to taking the next step. There is sadness, and yet there is excitement. I know wherever this journey leads, it will be filled with each of your hearts and my heart too. I give deep thanks for the last 7 years, for every moment. I give thanks to be here today with words, even though I couldn't be physically present. I give thanks to the place we're going, because we know it is divinely led and spirit expressing. And I say thank you. I'm reminded of Bob Hope when television first started, ending his show each week by looking into the camera and singing, "Thanks for the memories." And that's all I can say. Thank you for each memory that has been so special in this journey, and the heart knowledge that there is so much more ahead. I look forward, especially with you guys. This is going to be fun. Thank you. And so it is.
And our fifth Sunday minister, Sonia. Sonia, Reverend Sonia. Sorry, my brain isn't working well today. So, the wet winter of 1996, Hal and I were wandering around in the wilderness. We'd left our ministry in Knoxville, Tennessee, and we were living in a van, wandering around, and we sort of got sucked over here, drawn here, let me say that. And in July of 1996, I was installed as the minister of this church, in this church. There's photos of that day on the table there. And that was an amazing thing. And here we are these many years later, and we're still in Napa. So I think I stayed in the church, and I left right before 9/11. Isn't that interesting how that happened? And because if I'd been here then, of course, I don't think I would have left then and went on to other things. But to just see how this, not a building, but a community, a loving spiritual community has shifted and grown and changed, but has never changed that heart space. Juanita, who's just held the focus, and Suzanne, and all these others of you who are leaders and musicians and lights and who've come. And I've had the honor of not every fifth Sunday, but a couple of times a year to be in person, and then of course on Zoom. And I'll be speaking next Sunday on Zoom, so I'm excited about that. And I'm not sad. It's just, there's so much to be sad about if we want to be sad right now. But this is good. We're celebrating. There's this beautiful place, and Reverend Jay Lang with this gorgeous ministry. We never looked this good, right? This is just an open, welcome place. Unity and Church of Spiritual Living, Religious Science, all the different things we called it. And Unity are so aligned right now that our ministers are serving each other's churches. We're not one organization, but we're New Thought, and we're so aligned. So if you want a physical place, this is one. There's also Unity churches in other places. But what an honor to serve Unity, which keeps changing. It's about new ideas and just the support that we've always had for each other, the beautiful music, the beautiful teachings, the beautiful times we come together, the beautiful times that we forget each other's names and forget, I'm the one that said, Jade, you got any name tags, And he came out with these, because we forget the names, but we don't forget the spirit of who we are. So
an honor and a privilege to have served and continue to serve this community and to serve unity. It's a wonderful thing. Amen and amen. And all woman.
Isn't it wonderful to get a final goodbye from each of our wonderful ministers who have been so committed and so devoted to our unity? They have been the foundation. Put it closer to my mouth. Oh, yeah, that's better. Our ministers have been the foundation of our church. They have provided the glue that has kept us together in many ways. So our deepest thanks to all of you. Okay, Renee.
Well, I just have to sneak up here.
You don't have to speak.
I have things to say. So how else could we have done it without our fearless leader and our very mother of all of us little ducklings for the last 8 years? She's done a wonderful job, and we really just want to honor you and thank you, because she never complained about the effort it was taking. She's a doer and a mover, and she'd go, oh yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. And she'd put the muscle and the time and the thought, and you know, it's just who you are. So we marvel in it, and we thank you for all these years that you and John, who was the father of our church, really kept it going for the last 8 years, the two of you. And we're so grateful. And it, as Sonia said, it is a natural ending. It feels really natural to me. It's sad, and yet then there's the whatever follows. And so that open door is wherever we follow and whatever we create and whatever links we keep with each other. And that's all important. But I wanted to tell you, we are honoring you with nothing to give you today, but Steve has something up his sleeve, and so she will be well honored, but it's a surprise. And so you'll know later what we have in mind for you. Yes. So I don't have anything, you know, flowers or anything. I'm sorry that didn't work, but we're gonna do something that's special that you'll really like. Yeah, because you deserve it. And I'm sorry I'm keeping a little distance because of the travel factor, but thank you so much. And I also want to thank Lon for all the, or did you do that? I was in the kitchen. For all these years of, you know, he was at this other church here, Center for Spiritual Living, for 22 years doing choirs and leading all sorts of things, and then being the minister of music for a long time, and then Unity got a hold of him, and so he's had like a 1 year out of the last 30 years that he hasn't done constant music for a church. So, and then he loves it. It's like his joy, just like your joy to lead, it's his joy. So thank you, dear, for all of your service and all the heart you put into it. Yeah, that's all. That's my interruption.
And thank you, Renee, for all that you do for us. You are one who is behind the scenes so often that I rely on. Yes, so thank you for all that you do. I want to say a special thanks to Jenny Gomez, who is our helper today, who has been absolutely wonderful. Yay, Jenny. Thank you for that. Lynn has been extremely helpful in getting this organized. Between Lynn, Renee, and I, and Jenny today, we got this done. And that feels really good. Feels really good. Now, before we end, I'd like to thank Reverend Jay Lang for his hospitality, for having us here, for being here when we got here this morning before 10 o'clock, setting up. Made it so much easier. So thank you, Jay. Would you have some remarks you would like to make, and then our final prayer?
Could you just remind people of the treasure table
reminder of the treasure table. Please take what you want.
So the treasure table has things people can just take, is what you're saying. They're giveaways. And everybody hopes you will, because there's no place to store anything, right? So, okay. Well, first of all, I just want to say that the reason why this space feels sacred is because for over 10,000 years, this has been a sacred spot for Native Americans. For 10,000 years, people have lived here continuously. And so it's sacred to begin at the confluence of the Napa Creek and the Napa River, that many cultures and communities have lived here, and it's always been a place of sacredness. And also, I grew my spiritual roots in Unity in Dallas, where I lived, in Colorado Springs, where I lived. I went to Unity churches there, and I so resonated with Charles Fillmore, and I still repeat, I still sizzle with zeal as much as possible. I still do that affirmation because it's just, you can't help but smile when you say that, right? And the foundations of that. And also, we are literally cousins. It's not, I don't mean that just because we happen to believe similar things. We're cousins because the founders of Unity and the founders of Science of Mind, the Fillmores and Ernest Holmes, had the same teacher, Emma Curtis Hopkins. So they were, so to speak, students of the same teacher, which makes us cousins and makes us alike in our philosophies. What's also interesting is 30 years ago, if you'd looked at Unity Church and then Church of Religious Science, you would have seen some differences, but not anymore. We have become more open to the truth in the Bible, and Unity's become more open to all faiths. So there's this meeting, and as Sonia said, that now we share ministries. We'll never become one. I think there's reasons to still keep two separate denominations, but we do share ministers, and we share congregants and community members. There's already an overlap between these communities. So I do invite you to come visit us on Sundays. We do a Wednesday meditation at 6 o'clock. And we are in person right now, meeting in the sanctuary and having fellowship out here. And most people enjoy the fellowship more than church sometimes, but because we've been lacking in in-person community. So it's great to be a part of that. First Sunday of the month, we do something like you do the forum. We just do a question and answer kind of thing out here, gathered in a circle that I host that on the first Sundays. And we do a number of things. We also have Spanish-speaking services on the second and fourth Sunday, Spanish-speaking meditations. We do a lot of different kinds of workshops. We're doing a sound healing next Sunday. We're doing an Enneagram workshop in November. We're having a Buddhist author come in December. So we're pretty active in the things we do. Candlelighting services in December. So we have a great website. You can find all that information there. But mainly, I want you to know that this place is sacred because you were community here first. And it was easy to come into this place and be community and feel this sacredness. And I hope you consider this a home as well. And a place whether we do streaming. We're not on Zoom, we're on YouTube and Facebook. So if you're one who likes to view from home, that's still an option. Or you can be here in person. But please consider it a spiritual home. It was once your spiritual home and will always be your spiritual home if you so choose. So thank you for being a part. And I'll also say that I appreciate that you called this a celebration of life, because there is a celebration today. I feel that. And also, when I do a celebration of life for an individual, I always tell them that, as I heard earlier today about it always being in our heart, I know the teachings, the wisdom, the love, the consciousness will always be a part of who you are. And nothing can change that, nothing at all. Just because you don't have a location to meet anymore or not a formal organization, it's still there and will always be there. So I just honor that light you've been over the past 30 plus years, and that you will continue to be in your life.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So is there anything else before I do a closing prayer? Is there anything else we need to say or honor? Marcia. Yes.
I think we should do a shout out for John Galloway.
For who?
John Galloway.
To John Galloway. A shout out to John Galloway. I'm going to let somebody else talk about him because I'm going to hand this over to somebody.
Yeah.
We'll just say, let's hear it for John. Hip, hip,
Oh,
hooray.
that's right. Let's hear it for John. I just have a few words to say. Blessed ones, we've been together a long time. We've seen a lot, we've prayed a lot, we've held each other during the dark times and danced together in the crystal moments in between. The door is closing for Unity Spiritual Center in Napa Valley. A few years ago, Ellen Diebencourt wrote an auspicious little book called Hell in the Hallway, Light in the Door. And it caught my eye because, well, frankly, I was stuck in the hallway. It has to do with a spiritual, not religious, journey of moving through final times, about the closing of one door and the opening of another, the endings and new beginnings. That's how it is, folks. The process of sloughing off the old and inviting us into the change. I see us, our heads held up bravely in anticipation of reaching for that doorknob. The I Am presence is patiently holding our hands with love and guidance until we're ready. Finally, take a deep, cleansing breath, dear ones, because this is not goodbye. The spiritual work is in the same hallway, in any language, in any race, or journeys of inner transformation. Spirit is holding us joyfully with anticipation of our new steps. May we walk in peace, dear ones. Namaste.
Any other comments?
I think we would be remiss if we didn't give our gratitude to Steve Carter for all his electronic assistance, keeping us connected on Zoom, sending out the links, and all he does. He's even making a slideshow for us of today. So many, many thanks, Steve. We value you. And I think that concludes.
Well, let's just do one thing to conclude as I offer a benediction, is just a word. If you could just shout out words of things you've received from this community, God qualities or values or an experience, just shout it out and just bring it into this as we call forth this prayer. So just speak out. Connection, love, appreciation, peace, fun. What was that, Sonia? Respect. Community. Music. Laughter. And I heard hugs. Something about hugs was like a big thing in this community or something. More hugs.
Right. And there's always magic and new beginnings too.
Magic and new beginnings, there is. Yeah. A place to move ourselves forward. Oh, so if anybody wants to do that now, they could do that. I can even bring it to you. Does anybody have anything to share they would like to share at this time?
I'm gonna finish mine here.
I mean, this is a wireless mic. And know that you are, as God, holding all that is, including in this moment some sadness, some joy, some gratitude, and above all, a deep, deep connection that has profoundly changed you and will continue to evolve in you as you. So as we go forth, each in our own ways, we continue to celebrate this life that is God within us, because we know it deeply. We've experienced it in this community, and we experience it in life continuing. For we know that is all there is God. God in me, God in you, God in us. And for this we are so, so grateful and declare to be so. And so it is. Amen. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.